What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys either like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, y'all. So today we gotta talk about a couple things, y'all. Now, if you guys haven't seen my last video, I did mention that I was on a live stream a couple weeks ago with UDM. If you guys haven't seen UDM's channel, make sure you check it out. But he did invite me to join one of his live streams, and we talked about a few different things. First of all, if you're watching UDM, thank you again for having me on your live stream, and I'm looking forward to joining more in the future. So in that particular live stream, we were talking about what were the good old days of doing gig work, and it was specifically for food delivery, right? And it kind of sparked a few things in my head that I didn't necessarily really think about prior to the live stream. And the thing is with me, you guys may or may not believe it, I'm a super shy person. So when I was on that live stream, there were some things that were coming to my head, and I said what I said, but there were some things that I didn't really think about at the time. Kind of being put on the spot kind of makes my brain just go so, there were some things that I thought about after the fact, and I'm like, dang, I wish I could have said that. I should have answered it this way. And, that's the introvert in me. My mind's just racing constantly. I'm overthinking stuff. So replaying conversations in my head is a common occurrence. Yeah, there were some things that I wish I would have said, and I wish I would have elaborated more on. So I wanted to take this time to discuss those things. So I'm going to actually divide this up into two parts. So today we're going to talk about the past and the present, and then the next video we're going to discuss the future. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. So let's go ahead and talk about what are the good old days for me, at least in my opinion, when it came to gig work. So let's just start from the very beginning. So my first taste at gig work was back in 2020. So prime pandemic days. So in case you guys may or may not know, I do have a full-time job. It's the same job I had then, same job I have now. I've been there for a bit. So around the time when they started shutting everything down, telling everybody to go home, start working from home, that's exactly what they told me to do. So I opted to take their advice, and I work from home. I work from home, and my job is pretty much a desk job. It's not physical at all. But when I was going into the office, I would get up and talk to coworkers. Maybe I have to move some stuff around, but for the most part, it was just your standard desk job. So when I transitioned from being in the office to working from home 100%, it was quite the shocker. And for some people, you might be like, well, you're already sitting at your desk all day. What's so shocking about that? When you go from being in a certain environment, like I said, getting up and talking to your coworkers, the simplest thing like that, you miss that. You kind of start to miss that. And that's saying a lot coming from a person that really don't like talking to people. It's just that human interaction over time, you kind of miss it, right? At first, it wasn't that bad, but after a few weeks, going into a few months, it's like, okay. And I'm by myself at home. My husband still has to go into the office. I'm just by myself at home with my cats. So it got a little boring after a while. So one day, just out of the blue, for no reason at all, I just for some reason thought, you know what? I should go ahead and kill some time. I need to do something else. And for some reason, I thought, hey, let me sign up for DoorDash. And that's exactly what I did. I signed up for DoorDash, and pretty quickly after, I got approved to work on the platform, got my red card, got my bag, all of that stuff, right? And I decided, okay, I already usually work through lunch. I usually am still working while I'm eating. So I said, okay, let me do this. I'm gonna go ahead and either eat early or I'll eat later if I'm not too hungry. And I'll just take the time that I would normally take for my lunch, which I usually just kind of chill and do nothing anyway. Why don't I be productive and take that lunch break and take that time to go out and do DoorDash? And that's exactly what I did. So my little hour, I went out, did a couple deliveries, maybe like 3 or 4 deliveries, sometimes more, sometimes less, and do my couple deliveries, come back home, finish up my day. and that's it. And I would make a good $20, maybe $30 within that hour. And I was cool with that. And I didn't do this all the time. I would say on average, I would do it about 3 times a week. And, sometimes I would go ahead and do it after my shift. So if I'm done with work at 3:30 or 4, I would be like, okay, I'll head out for a couple of hours before it gets dark, do a few deliveries, and come back in. Or those days when they close the office early, we're done at noon, we're done at 1 o'clock, okay, I'll go out, do a few deliveries for a couple hours, come right back. And the thing that made it great for me, even though I didn't really have any type of experience with the gig game at all, was just the fact that people were so nice. Because keep in mind, it's prime 2020. All you're hearing on the news, stay inside, quarantine, it's dangerous outside, you want to get sick, all of this stuff, fear, you shouldn't be going outside, right? So the delivery workers, the grocery store workers, the people who worked in the hospitals, all of those folks, there was a greater appreciation for those folks. And specifically for delivery workers and gig workers, a lot of people felt the need that they had to go ahead and show their appreciation by giving a fairly hefty tip, and it was great. The pay was great. And that's why I said, within an hour, it wasn't uncommon that I made $20-$30. If I go out and do DoorDash today, I might be lucky to get 15. So, and like I said, at the time, I wasn't really paying attention to how much I was getting paid as far as like how much was base pay versus how much was tip. But I'm pretty sure that a majority of my pay did come from tips. I would say a good 60, probably 70% of my pay probably came from tips. Literally had people leaving money under their doormat or within the door saying, here, take this, leaving a sign, extra money here, take this. People leaving snacks for you, bottles of water, all kinds of stuff, because they just had that level of appreciation for you, because in their mind, you're out there risking your life, risking getting sick, and you're out here doing what may seem like a simple task. There's a lot of risk behind it. And like I said, people were more willing to show their gratitude by tipping a lot more. Now, unfortunately, just as quickly as I came into the game, I had to take an exit. So I stopped doing DoorDash and I had to refocus that energy to taking care of my mom because of her deteriorating health. So that became my primary focus while I was still doing my 9-to-5. And this went on until the end of 2022. So I would say roughly around September, October, we had a big financial oof. That's all I can say, just a oof. Something came up. My husband and I, we opted to, pick up gig work, started doing some DoorDash again. And literally instantly, I noticed that there was a huge difference with the app. And, just the thing of pay. I think the first order I got was like $3 right off the bat. And I'm like, $3? And I'm like, they want me to drive okay, I don't know about this. And keep in mind, still at this time, I'm not really that deep in it. I'm just out here trying to make a few extra dollars, right? Now, eventually I found Amazon Flex and I said, no more with DoorDash. We ain't doing DoorDash no more because that's not worth it for me. I need more money and I need it fast. So I was knocking out Amazon Flex shifts left and right. Sometimes I was doing 2 a day, doing another one the next day. I was just doing crazy Amazon Flex shifts. So we finally got out of our financial bind and, I decided to stick around. And what I can say, even like from last year when I started again up until today, I can see like a huge difference. And I'm not sure if that's just because I'm more aware of what's going on because I wasn't as invested in the gig scene as I am today. Just paying attention to, the things as far as the pay, the mileage, the time that it's taken to do deliveries, that's one thing. But I can say that when I turned on DoorDash again after being away for a little over 2 years, I can honestly say that I felt an energy shift. You went from people who were grateful that you were taking the time to brave this pandemic to come out and bring you food. You went from that to entitled and just angry people who were just expecting you to go above and beyond for pretty much nothing, and people just treating you or thinking of you as trash because you're doing a job like DoorDash. And like I said, I was just able to feel that that energy shift, it was a shocker. It was really a shocker. So for me specifically, the height of me doing gig work was probably during that pandemic time during 2020. And that's just because, like I said, I more or less felt like I was more appreciated for the work that I was doing. And just because technically there isn't a pandemic now that job is seen as less than any other job. It's the same thing with grocery workers. How many times have you heard, essential worker, people were praising people in the grocery store? Oh my God, thank you so much. We appreciate everything that you do. But literally 2-3 months before they announced that this was a pandemic, people was looking at grocery store workers like, well, bag my stuff, blah, blah, blah. You just a cashier, da, da, da. It's crazy how people's attitudes change just like that. It's like, oh, now you need me. Now you need me. So you went ahead and needed me and did all of that. You used me. And now that you don't need me anymore, it's just like, we back to square one. It's crazy how humans, I don't know, people are just heartless for no reason. I don't really understand. I really don't. No, but honestly, no, today it's odd, at least for me. Recently for me, it's been slower, and because I can't do gig work as often as, I have in the past, it's very, very hard for me to find a quality gig that I can do that's worth my time and my energy. And people might hear that and say, oh, you're lazy, you don't want to work. I literally had a person in my comment section, I had to delete the whole thread because it was just sounding crazy. They were saying that if I wasn't working 60 plus hours a week, then I was lazy. If you're smart and you know how to apply your time, you can honestly work less than the average person and still make more money. The amount of hours you work doesn't equate to your worth. Literally, you have people in high level positions, they probably only do 2 or 3 hours of work and they're getting paid 6 figures, if not more. And you might argue and say, well, they work their way up to earn that. that ain't corporate. not in today's age. I can go ahead and get into a whole topic about corporate and all of that. I'm not. You have to apply your time properly because, like I mentioned before, I already have a W-2. I have a full-time job. I have responsibilities that I have to go ahead and take care at my job I already have. And on top of that, I have to take care of my mother. I literally have to go take her to doctor's appointments, help her with stuff at her house. There's a bunch of things I have to do personally where I can't entertain DoorDash and turn it on and hope that I can make an extra $100 in however many hours, because that's not going to happen for me. That's not going to happen for me. Food delivery, the way it works now, I can't justify being able to work that app. If it works for you, kudos to you. Great for you. But it just does not work for me, at least not in my personal situation, right? I would much rather have an app that allows me to pre-schedule something in advance and I'm guaranteed that pay unless that order gets canceled or whatever, but I'm still guaranteed that pay no matter what, as long as I'm still picking that up and delivering it or whatever, right? I'm guaranteed that money. If I turn on DoorDash, I'm not guaranteed to make $50 within 2 hours. I'm not. So I would much rather take that delivered order that they sent me for tomorrow and they're saying, hey, your payout is $55. Bet. I can knock that out within an hour, hopefully, if everything goes well, right? And even if it doesn't, even if I run into some issues, I'm still guaranteed that pay. So that's just how things are for me, at least. The thing that we had mentioned in the video, because in my Toya reacts, I was reacting to the clip that he took out and it was talking about tipping, because I had mentioned that I went to Starbucks and they gave me a screen to tip. And I'm like, why did you give me a screen to tip in the drive-thru? It was weird, right? And I was just explaining how, tip culture has evolved because, before it was a thing of we're tipping because we appreciate you, we appreciate the hard work that you're doing and all of that, blah, 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 right? And it went from that to tip for everything. Literally, go to a drive-thru. Can I get a tip? Go pick up my food. Can I get a tip? Go to the convenience store. Can I get a tip? Gig worker delivering food. Can I get a tip? No, you can't get no tip. Everybody asks me for a tip. Tip fatigue. That is literally tip fatigue in a nutshell, right? So the people that actually do deserve the tip, they not getting the tip. So yeah, that's honestly what my version of gig work has evolved into. And, you know, like I said, it's just hard for me to justify taking certain orders if it's not worth my time or if it's worth the amount of wear and tear that I'm putting on my car. That's just how it is for me. Like I said before, it has been getting slow for me. I'm surprised that Amazon isn't popping off considering that it's Black Friday. It's been so slow on the blocks. It's kind of like scary how slow it's been. So I don't know if it's like people ain't ordering because inflation, you know, you can blame everything on inflation if you want, or there just aren't enough shifts to go around. Like, I'm not sure, because I open up the Amazon app and there's absolutely nothing. Delivered has been so-so. I feel like I have the worst luck when it comes to delivered because they'll send me bad, at least in the sense of it's not really worth my time, right? And then the one time they send me a good order, that's the same day I actually have to go take my mom to appointments. So I can't do it even if I wanted to. And then they're probably looking at me like, man, you declining everything. We sent you a good order and you still declined it. Like, I can't do it because I have something to do. So it's kind of a back and forth with delivered. And delivered that, I just got approved for that prior to when I got sick. So I'm probably gonna aim for trying that app out next week. Still am starting to kind of get over this little congestionness. I am feeling better. I'm definitely a lot better, but I don't want to handle any food or merchandise for customers until like I'm 100%. I just don't want to risk spreading anything. And no, it's not the vid or anything like that, even though the place I went to, apparently a lot of people did catch that, but I didn't have that. At least I don't think I did. So I just want to be safe. I don't want to go ahead and expose anybody to anything. So I'm chilling on deliveries for now, at least until I am 100%. But yeah, guys, I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts are. How do you think gig work has evolved? Like, what would you say was the best time for you when you did delivery gig work? Was it back in 2020? Was it before that? Was it after that? Is it now? Let me know in the comments. And also, like I said, I am going to be doing a part 2 to this. I kind of just scratched the surface of a few things I wanted to talk about. That's why I'm leaving it for part 2. There's a few things I want to talk about in the present time that kind of relate to the future. So I didn't want to talk about too much here and not have anything to talk about for the next video. So make sure you stay tuned for that because I got a lot we gotta talk about for sure. But before we go, guys, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. But that is all I got for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. And as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.